They called the cops on me because I refused to give my nephew access to the community pool. The next morning, I had taped Conversations emails with the words profit-sharing bank deposits that matched invoice dates and enough paperwork to make a federal prosecutor sit up straight. What started as a petty pool fight turned into the thing that blew our HOA wide open, and I almost didn't answer the knock at all. My name is David Carter. I'm a retired construction attorney, 20 years of digging through invoices, contracts, change orders. The kind of work that teaches you how money disappears when people want it to. I moved to Willowbrook Estates after Sarah died last October because I thought I needed quiet, and a corner lot with a pool view sounded like a therapy session I could afford. I paid premium for the place, not for the drama, not for a villain with designer athleisure and a clipboard. Her name was Karen Mitchell. Real estate agent, HOA vice president, married to Councilman Brad Mitchell. She wore her authority like a necklace visible, heavy, impossible to ignore. The first summer here was fine. I sat with coffee and watched the morning lapse and thought I'd finally found something like peace. Then, my nephew Ethan came for the summer. He's a good kid, 16, working at the hardware store, the kind of kid who says thank you, Mr. Carter, like he means it. He invited 2 friends over for a pool day, and 10 minutes into splash number 1. Karen appeared poolside like a thundercloud with a clipboard. "Excuse me," she announced loud enough for everyone to hear. "I need to see guest passes for these young men." I blinked. "They're family," I said. "This is my nephew Ethan." Karen's smile was sharp. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter. Excessive guest usage, more than 2 guests per household per week, requires pre-registration and approved guest passes. Pool privileges for Lot 22 are suspended pending compliance review." Ethan's face went gray. His friends gathered their towels. People looked down at their phones. That was the first move public shaming dressed up as rule enforcement. The notice went up on the community board that night. She made an announcement at the next HOA meeting, the kind of performance that asks the room to applaud the villain they've chosen. I could have let it go. I almost did. But here's the thing. Karen didn't just enforce rules. She weaponized them. She filed a compliance hearing with 48 hours' notice on the day of Sarah's birthday, the day I'd planned to visit her grave. The letter cited trash cans visible from the street lawn height exceeding 3.5 inches measurements I'd taken myself, and failure to maintain community harmony. It was petty, it was theatrical, it stank of something else. So I read the fine print. That's what lawyers do when someone gives them a fight. Buried in the charter was a clause labeled reasonable accommodation for family gatherings and multi-generational household activities. My nephew's pool day fit that description perfectly. Karen's letter violated procedural rules, insufficient notice, lack of specific bylaw citation, and she held the hearing in her own dining room. I stood up at that hearing in her dining room with her PowerPoint, and I pointed all of that out. Jim Walsh, our HOA president, looked embarrassed. Maria Sanchez, the treasurer, was taking notes like she could taste the wrongness. Karen pivoted. Instead of acknowledging the procedural fail, she went personal. Maybe Mr. Carter is having trouble adjusting after his loss. The room filled with an uncomfortable silence. That's when I realized she'd made a mistake. She'd picked a retired construction lawyer to pick a fight with, and construction lawyers notice money. They notice where it goes. She escalated. Within a week, she'd organized a neighborhood watch, 3 volunteers with clipboards and cameras circling our streets like vultures. Violation notices were handed out for things that had been ignored for years. Basketball hoops visible through garages, 2 garden gnomes instead of 1. My car got photographed. My driveway got photographed. Every guest who visited me left with a warning under their wiper. The harassment was targeted. The message was loud: fall in line or be next. There was a dark stretch where the campaign worked on me. I'll tell you straight, I had nights where I wondered if I was the problem. Maybe I'd misread community rules. Maybe I was an old man making waves where none were needed. I wanted to stop. I considered walking away, letting the bandstand, letting Ethan swim at his friend's house. I told myself grief made me hypersensitive. I told myself to pick my battles. But Maria, quiet, competent. Maria found discrepancies in the HOA books. She slipped me a manila envelope after a morning walk and said, "Look at this when you can." I looked, and then I looked harder. The community budget for amenities on paper said $2,100,000. Actual invoices and construction costs, $1.4 million, $700,000 unaccounted for. Emails between Karen and Sunset Construction with subject lines like revised community amenity, pricing confidential. Bank deposits into Karen's account that matched HOA payments in timing and amount. The old feeling came back, the one I'd had in courtrooms for 20 years. Something criminal was being hidden in plain sight. We stopped playing defense. Maria, Jim, Ethan, whose phone had become our social media listening post, and I built a file. Every suspicious transfer, every inflated invoice, every voicemail where Karen suggested arrangements if people would just stop asking questions. Ethan started live streaming when Karen pushed too hard at the pool one day. Neighbors came out of their houses. Bob, the city inspector, showed up during Ethan's graduation party because Karen had timed a code complaint to interrupt the cake. I put a banker's box of permits on the porch and told him to check everything. 2 hours later, he said, "No violations. This property exceeds code." The more Karen tried to force the issue, the more she exposed herself. She started making mistakes, telling board members to call off questions, suggesting people who asked for transparency were disruptive, offering me hush money in the parking lot. "Maybe we can arrange for your pool maintenance to be covered," she whispered on a recording. I later played for neighbors. She threatened, "You'll regret it if you don't back off. My husband has friends in city government." She filed a false police report accusing me of threats. The officers who showed up met me with my own tape. Once you start following the money paper trails, attract investigators. We filed public records requests. The district attorney's white-collar unit opened an inquiry. Detective Sarah Chen served subpoenas for HOA Financials contractor invoices, Karen's bank records. Her panic became visible the way someone with everything to lose starts to flail. Her real estate license went under review. Her husband's seat on the council got uncomfortable. And then came the night of the big meeting, Willowbrook Elementary Gym packed, folding chairs creaking Channel 8 in the corner. Karen sat with her attorney and a script. She painted herself as a volunteer under siege, a guardian of property values attacked by a vengeful widower. Her act was polished. I'd prepared a projection instead. I connected my laptop and we started with numbers, the original amenity budget, the actual build cost, the difference in glaring red. Slide after slide showed inflated service contracts, ongoing overcharges, and then the email where Karen negotiated profit sharing. The room went quiet like a held breath. She lost it. She rose, tried to twist context, called our evidence lies. Someone shouted. I played the recorded parking lot conversation where she offered arrangements and then threatened me. Detective Chen stepped up and told the crowd what we'd all suspected: criminal charges for fraud, embezzlement, mail, fraud. It wasn't theater anymore. It was law. Karen's collapse was not cinematic in a single blow, it was procedural, inevitable. The subpoenas, the bank records, the emails, they formed a lockbox of facts. She pled guilty, months later agreed to restitution, lost her license, and Sunset Construction faced a broader probe. But the moment that matters for this story is the one in the gym when the evidence met her face and she had no script left. I never filmed a victory parade. That's not this story. The script ends when the person who abused power steps off the stage and the authorities take the microphone. What lingers is cleaner paperwork aboard that now answers to residents, the memory that people can be held accountable when a community refuses to look away. Document everything.